Hello, lads and ladies, and welcome back. We are back. Sunday night means one thing. League One Live returns. It's the final one of the season. 46 match weeks, 46 shows we've had across the season. It's been emotional. Ups, downs, it's been a roller coaster. Life is a roller coaster, as Ronan Keating once said. If you can see and hear me, all right, let me know in the chat down below as well. We've got the shirt on as well. Yeah, we've been relegated, but proud to wear it, proud to don it. Right, let's bring him in. The co-host of all co-hosts. He's in. His team got into the playoffs yesterday. Oh, hello. Oh, you're not Jake. I thought Lincoln got in the playoffs. I thought Lincoln won the league.
They didn't win the league. They didn't. I'm good, Ben. I'm really good. Good evening to everybody as well. I'm delighted to do the show. I think this is my first ever Sunday show.
Yeah, you've come on for a Sunday after the Oxford Fleetwood game.
Did I? Okay, that's my memory playing up. Really looking forward to this, as you can probably imagine. You might have thought we can lose the unbearable grins for a week, but I'm having to unfortunately sort of bring mine in. I'll try not to too much.
I don't think he's grinning, boy.
He might not be. I might have to replace him for an hour or so tonight. Really looking forward to it, Ben. It's been a good season, but for some people, it's not quite over yet.
No, absolutely not. So tonight we are going to go through all the games as usual. First 35, 40 minutes will be dominated by that. We'll have a look at the final League One standings. Then we'll also show you a little tease of what we got up to yesterday as well. Let me know what you think of the shirt. If you could like the stream as well, it'd be appreciated. And if you can't comment, all you need to do is to get in the comment section below is to subscribe. Then you can join down below. We'll come to the comment section now. Good evening, gentlemen. A disappointing end to the season. Life goes on. Thoughts on the Vale link with Derby? I think he's going to be linked with a lot of Championship clubs, Portsmouth as well. Good evening. Hope you're well, Chris. Okay. So much pain. Hope you're well, Links. Good to see you in the chat. Hello, Luke. Hope you're well, mate. I do need to get back to you. I've seen your message. I'll give you a message after the stream. What are you saying, Jakey boy? Up the Ox. Look, Jake's had a little bit of stick, bless him. Look, he has given it out in recent weeks. There's no denying that, but lay off him a little bit. That's all I'll say. He isn't on tonight because I don't think he could have handled the attention on him, but we'll give him a rest, and hopefully maybe next season we might get him on at some point as well. Blooming marvellous, Jake has more time off than Butler. There you are. Even though, please remember. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Sue. Be like Sue. Good evening, hello. Loving the shirt there. Have you ever had a third shirt, Wardy? Oxford?
This year we've got. I don't think I've owned a third shirt. But we do have we've got a nice blue number this season. I think we've worn our third shirt more than our away shirt. It's a nice blue number. I can't remember the last time we wore it, but no, we have had a third shirt. So is that your third? This is awful knowledge. This is your third shirt this season?
Yeah, well, no, next season. For next
season. Okay.
Yeah. Right. So it's for the League Two boys, you see, mate. It's for the League Two boys.
Exactly.
Shall we get on with it then? We're going to start off with, so the running order is a little bit kind of all over the place. We're going to start off with all the games that basically didn't really have anything to play for, basically. So we'll get into it. We'll start off with Shrewsbury against Leyton Orient. Now, Shrewsbury not ended greatly. Obviously, points away at Charlton and Bolton to make up for that. Now, I went through the stats. Now, obviously, 2024 has been tough for them. We've had a managerial change. And they sacked the manager, not on results, basically. The results weren't great, but it was the football. The style of football wasn't great, and then the results didn't follow. Obviously, under Matt Taylor, they had 9 wins, 3 draws, 17 defeats in there. That's 30 points from 29 games. That is 1.03 points per game. Okay? Under Paul Hurst, he's 1.05 points per game. He's won 4 in 17, drawn 6, lost 7. Although the football has been better, he's reintroduced the likes of Dan Udo, who has scored 7 in 17 and 3 in as many games. It wasn't great yesterday, but they played a Leyton Orient side that has had 65 points in the first full season back in the division. And pretty much their home and away form is identical. They've just drawn one game less away from home and lost one more at home. It's been a great season for them. Richie Wells has done a superb job. Shrewsbury, stable in the division. I think they're 11 points worse off, though, than last season.
Yes, I think, look, when Hurst came in, it was a very clear goal, and that was safety, right? And I think he has done that, and they have improved the style of play. I thought yesterday, for large parts, the actual football they were playing was probably better than Leyton Orient's, but the bottom line is they lost that game. It didn't matter too much for Leyton Orient. It's a massive credit to how well they've done this season. They've been really, really good, and it would be nice for them to sort of end the season that sort of summarises their entire campaign, a really positive one. And I like what Richie Wellens has done. Like you say there, he's somebody who we've been, I don't know, were we ever critical, or we just predicted Leyton Orient to not win games of football on T-Lop? It was a bit of a running joke for a while.
Don't bring me into this. I admit Leyton Orient. Don't bring me into this, sunshine.
Okay,
I had Leyton Orient mid-table.
Maybe that was just the rest of us then. But I always sort of really rated Leyton Orient, and I like I think I said this at the start of the season. I really liked the way that they came in and played the same brand of football as they did in League Two. They didn't move away from that clear principle. They tried to dominate games of football and actually play a really good brand of football a lot of the time and be in control of matches. And when you get promoted from League Two or any promotion, sometimes you can be tempted to sort of switch things up and maybe go slightly more direct, slightly more robust, because you're afraid teams can hurt you. But in the end, they've been very, very stuck in their ways, but in a positive sense, and it's come good. Really like their recruitment in January. They've got some permanent additions in there that I think are going to be really good next season. So really impressive Leyton Orient. As for Shrewsbury, clear when Hurst came in, he had to sort of keep them up, because for a long time I thought their position in the league table was quite false. I was not impressed with Shrewsbury. I wasn't impressed with their brand of football, and I thought the games they did win were very, very smash and grab at times. I think since that, look, they haven't been blowing teams away, but what they have been doing is being far better within matches, more consistent within matches, and I think being more, and not that it matters too much, but deserving of their results, which in the long term I think is going to be a positive, because I don't think that was a sustainable way, the way that Shrewsbury were playing, hence why Matt Taylor lost his job. So yeah, really, really good result for Leyton Orient. Disappointing for Shrewsbury on the final day at home, but their goal was simple: stay up, and thankfully they did that a few weeks ago.
We're looking at another team that, another game full of, Wigan against Bristol Rovers, and both seasons probably ended in about March time. Wigan's full credit to Wigan have had an unbelievable season. Wigan have won 20 matches this season, and to win nearly half your games, and over into the teens, into low 20s. For perspective, that's one less than Blackpool, who could have got into the playoffs on the final day. One, I think, the same as Lincoln. One less than Barnsley, who are in the playoffs. 3 more than Wycombe, 2 more than Leyton Orient. Shaun Maloney, the job he's done there. Not only has he got rid of his 2 highest earners in Charlie Wyke and Callum Lang in halfway through the season, but he's also provided a young platform for the likes of Charlie Hughes, Sam Tickle, and other players as well. Thello Wasteguard as well has come into the fold and done really well. But alongside the experienced ones like McGuinness and Matt Manneman, even your Sean Clares, it's been around the block now at a number of different football clubs. And if he was maybe a little bit more out there and a little bit more, like a Steve Evans type of character, he'd be getting praise. And that's all I'm seeing. I'm seeing, obviously, rightfully so, Scubala get credit, Richie Wellens, John Brady get credit. I never see credit for Shaun Maloney about anything. So I'm going to give him that little bit of credit. To win 20 matches, 13 wins at home, this season. They've only lost 6 at home. They managed to win 7 games away from home as well. 15 clean sheets as well in that time. Did the double over the rivals as well. Beat Portsmouth away from home. Away from home are great against the top 6, top 7 of such as well. They played a Bristol Rovers team, though, that got 4 points better than last season, but lost 7 of the last 11 and didn't score in 9 Wardy. How much of a concern would that be for Bristol Rovers, and how good of a season have Wigan had, even with the 8-point deduction?
Well, starting with Rovers, I think you mentioned it on T-Lop. Ending a season when you're on the beach but poorly, I think is still really important. And it's an important point to make. Although they were on the beach and they had nothing to play for, I think Bristol Rovers were one of the first clubs to probably be safe, but also not be able to go up. I think you've still got to put in performances. Last 2 games of the season, you can almost accept that. But Bristol Rovers, this bad run has been going on for quite a while, and they haven't been playing well for quite a while. And maybe, it's a case of they have nothing to play for. They knew they had nothing to play for quite a long time, but they went on a very, very turgid run. I mean, I highlight the 5-0 defeat against Lincoln City. They lost to Port Vale. They drew to Shrewsbury. Look, they got decent results against Cheltenham and Cambridge, and those two teams have been down there for a while. Losing to Peterborough is not a massive shame. And you just mentioned, obviously, Wigan there, Reading in the middle of that. Look, they've had games in there that I think have been quite a challenge, but this bad run has been extending for quite a few weeks now. And if I'm Matt Taylor, I'm probably looking at this group of players and going, look, maybe we haven't got too much to fight for, but I still think we need to sort of show that we're on the right track and we're building something for next season. Like I said, final 2 games of the season, if you've got nothing to play for, you almost accept it. But when you're still trying to build and improve, and Matt Taylor's got a lot still to prove as a Bristol Rovers manager, you still want to be sort of seeing an identity and some results. He's getting a little bit tonight, isn't he? Bless him.
I can see why he said, I can't go on, Ben. You need to find a replacement. I think it's probably for the best, Ben, but I think maybe just come, mate. You're going to have to own up to it eventually. Like, we got relegated last week. I didn't want to come on, Jakey. There is an opportunity, mate. Just give me a ring.
Maybe it's just the fact he was maybe slightly more confident than he needed to be. In terms of, who we were talking about, Wigan, really impressed with them. Really impressed with Wigan. And like you say there, I don't think Shaun Maloney has been given enough credit. And is that maybe because people have sort of almost forgotten about that deduction? I think they have. I think some people did. I think we sort of forgotten that happened because it was so early on and they were so quickly able to sort of reach that point or 0 point target and then push on. I think we forgot that they actually started the season with less points than everybody else, which is ridiculous. And they still got themselves into a comfortable position and played some really good football at times. I really like the way that they play. I think they've got a really, really good identity, and Shaun Maloney with better players, with a bigger squad, because that squad isn't big enough for me. They need to sort of bolster that squad out with more players. That's going to come with investment and recruitment in the summer. And you imagine Shaun Maloney will be backed by Wigan. So I think they need to get it right, because Wigan have gone up too soon and then got themselves in trouble and come straight back down. I don't think finishing 12th is a bad season whatsoever, especially with that deduction, especially when you're seeing a direction there. Next season, we see where that is, because they've got to get this right, because Wigan have gone up too soon in previous years, and it's coming back to sort of bite them on the backside. So I think it's a comfortable position for them, and they'll definitely take it.
Maybe a bit like Rotherham as well. And I kind of said this season when they were talking about playoffs, so when the worst thing that Wigan can do is maybe, go up this year. And you look at Derby last year, I don't think they were ready to go up. I think they needed another year. And sometimes you need a couple of years lower down the level. Look at Ipswich when it's sometimes. It just gets you the mentality of being favourites every week and winning games of football. And it's a bit like when you first start playing FIFA, you put it on, semi-pro and professional, just to get you back into the level. It's like, just to kind of get you back into the winning things of it. If you could hit a like button on this stream, that'd be much appreciated as well. We're going to come to kind of the last 2 irrelevant games as such. Wycombe, what a flyer they've been on, by the way. They've won 4 of the last 5, won 7 of the last 11. In that time, they've only lost once, and that was to Portsmouth at home. They've drawn the other 3. So that's, 24 points collected from a possible 33 available into the top 10. They finished a bit like Charlton did last year, quite strong, got into the top 10. I think they're only 5 points worse off than they were last season as well, when they were even pushing for the playoffs under Ainsworth. And obviously when Bloomfield came in towards the end, it didn't quite work out. But that's only Charlton's first defeat in 14 games. Jones lost his first game, and he's obviously last game this season as well. The only thing I'd say about that, he's only won 4. Would that be a concern of yours?
Yeah, it is, because it's a results-based business. I think they've got away with it because those wins came when they were sort of fighting against relegation. They did that, and quite quickly under Nathan Jones, they sort of got themselves out of trouble, which was the main thing. To think that Charlton were in a relegation battle, was a really big scare, and they had to make a quick decision. They've been through 3 managers this season, which is crazy. I think they've stumbled. Not really stumbled, that's harsh. I think they've now got a good one, to be honest. I think Dean Holden was a good coach, wasn't really given at the time, but the start of the season was so bad that they felt as if they had to make that call. And there was, of course, a change in ownership too. Michael Appleton, look, I like Michael Appleton purely because of what he did at Oxford, but let's be honest, he's taken some pretty rubbish jobs in the last couple of seasons, and it hasn't really worked out anywhere. So look, that was a bit of a make or break for him and his career. He got a good job, the Charlton job. Maybe not his best position now, but it's still a high pedigree job. That didn't work out. And now you've got Nathan Jones, who's somebody that I think is a very, very big coup at this level. So I think there is a concern that they're not winning enough games at this moment in time, but it's very, very obvious that they're going to do quite a lot of business in the summer. I think Nathan Jones has said that this is going to be one of the biggest turnovers he's ever been a part of playing-wise in his managerial career. He doesn't like big turnovers. That wasn't the case at Luton. Didn't really get the opportunity at Southampton, but at Luton, it was almost quite a steady progression. At Charlton, with the players they've currently got, I think they've got to make a few decisions, and clean sheets is a massive issue. By the way, they've got to keep it. They've got to start keeping clean sheets. I think Nathan Jones said it in his post-match interview. There's been 3 managers. Not all of them have been very successful. 2 of them clearly not very successful. They've been sacked. But to keep none of them, to have none of them as a clean sheet or be able to keep clean sheets, I think is a really, really big concern. But I trust Nathan Jones will get it right. I trust that ownership is now starting to understand the way that this football club has got to be run. And yeah, I expect Charlton to be up there next season. I think Nathan Jones is a really good coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Peterborough 3, Bolton 3. This went all over Bolton's hands, Peterborough's hands, and obviously it was a game that meant nothing. Peterborough this season scored the most goals at home. 2.39 per game they scored as well, which is unbelievable. Joe Randell, a player that's had plenty of critiques this year, 17 goal contributions, 10 goals, 7 assists. Malik Mothersill hasn't scored all season, goes and scores 3 in 2 home games as well. Most points, 44 points at home, when Blackpool 48, Derby 49, and Portsmouth and Bolton both on 50. Portsmouth obviously who won the league, and Bolton who were the best team in the league. Sorry, can't resist. We love you, Bolton. Don't worry, we love you. 13 wins at home, strong at home. Peterborough, Bolton. Look, drawn 3 of the last 4, unbeaten in 7. Lost. 1 in 12. They've not been convincing, Bolton. They haven't been convincing of late, but they are a side, when they get going, can be frightful. And in the playoffs, they are, no disrespect to Oxford, Peterborough or Barnsley, I went there as a Fleetwood fan. When I go to the game, I think, this could be tough. There's big crowd, and, you think, there's going to be 25,000 home fans.
Yeah, and we learned the hard way this season going there. We lost 5-0. So we definitely felt that. But it was a really good game of football, by the way, between Bolton and Peterborough. People have sort of been asking why I haven't included that in the roundup this week. A simple reason, because it wasn't really that defining this season, in terms of a final day fixture. Great game of football, 2 very good teams, but in terms of what it meant for the league, Derby did what they needed to do. Peterborough and Bolton weren't going to fall out of the top 6. So it was a really good game. And I think we saw that. I think because there was little pressure on it, it was very open. It was very attacking. And we almost saw the best of its attacking sides, because there wasn't a nerve to it. Although Bolton felt as if Derby didn't beat Carlisle, or I think they had to lose to Carlisle, which would not, let's be honest, was not going to happen. They felt as if they could play with a real sense of freedom. And we saw that with those 2 teams. So I really enjoyed sort of looking at that game. It didn't really get a mention because of the fact it didn't really mean too much in the long term. As for Peterborough, I think it's going to be an interesting playoff semi-final against a certain opposition. We'll wait and see. And I think, like you say, there, Bolton are going to be looking for revenge. They've got Barnsley in the first leg, and they're going to be looking at revenge from last season. I think they're in a much better position than they were last season. I think Barnsley are in a much worse position than they were last season. So we won't be predicting it now, but I think Bolton will feel very confident going into that semi-final. I think they'll have a lot of momentum. I think they've played really well in recent weeks. They've dropped some silly points here and there, but you trust Ian Evatt to get that group playing when it matters. So let's be honest,
game last year. Do you think the game last year? Sorry to interrupt. Do you think the game last year will, obviously they played each other in the semi-final, which Barnsley won, got through it. It was awful 2 legs. When you think about how good the other one, and bear in mind, Peterborough in the playoffs were in there last year. Barnsley and Bolton in the playoffs. Is Oxford for Wednesday, so maybe Oxford win it. Do you think, will that go through the minds of the Bolton players? Because I think this group now, Bolton, I think they were too early 12 months ago. I think they're ready now, and they've got good players in that team. I think they're a year old, a year more mature. They brought better players in. Everett's a wiser manager. They went back to Barnsley and were 2-0 down. We got it back to 2-2. Do you think the past meetings, obviously with the playoffs, especially last year and the 2-2 back in March, I know it's got a completely new year and completely new game. Do you think that has an impact on this one?
Yes and no. I think it's difficult because of Barnsley's position. They've not got a manager. They have got a manager, but they haven't got that manager that's been with them all season. And that could swing both ways because Bolton will... Let's be honest, he's come in such short notice. Barnsley aren't going to change the way they played. And against Northampton, there wasn't a massive shift in style. That isn't going to be the case. I think Bolton are going to be very confident. I think they were going to be confident regardless of last season. I think even more so, Bolton are going to be thinking, right, these lot last year sort of almost taught us a lesson. Like you said, it wasn't a great game of football. They weren't humble. They weren't embarrassed, but they taught us a lesson. They progressed through, and they would have been very jealous of that. So this season, they're going to try and put things right. Like I said, I think Barnsley are in a much worse state than they were. I think Bolton, like you say, are a year older, a year more mature. They've got better players, I think, in a lot of positions. And I think Bolton, they haven't got to do it, but I think Bolton are in a position now where the fans will not be very happy with another season in League One.
No.
And we've made a joke about them being the best team in the league, and let's be honest, that's at times been the case in terms of the way they've played football, but consistency's been a problem. Form goes out the window, I always say, in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I also think it's a very different ball game. It goes from a league system to a cup competition, and the games are like a cup competition. So you can't call it. We'll do our predictions, I'm sure, but I know Bolton fans, with the way that they feel last season, the way they've played this season, I think they're going to be far more confident going into this one.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And a big thank you to Chris, who's gifted 5 Cod Vlogs memberships to those people in the chat as well. So I think Luke is one of those people that got gifted one, and Paul, who's gifted one as well. Now, yesterday, we're going to take a little bit of a break here. Now, yesterday, I went around Fleetwood and decided, look, often I just talk nonsense, to people I go to football with, and we have a good chat. It is about a minute of a 20-minute long episode that we did yesterday, going up to the mountain Fleetwood. If you do fancy joining as a member, we do upload a video every single week. Different, like this, chatty, completely different style as well. Would you actually compare one of these to a Children in Need style of videos early in the season as well? So I think you'll be looking forward to this. Enjoy the next minute. If you like it, join down below. $1.99 a month, and every penny that I earn goes back into software as well. And it means basically I can pay Wardy, for coming on at last minute, doesn't it, Wardy? A couple of EKs at Wembley.
100%.
Absolutely. Play that VT.
I do like to be along the seaside. Oh, I do like to be beside the sea. Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside. Oh, hello. I wonder how Bibby is, actually, to be fair. If you don't know Bibby, get to know Bibby.
Oh, hello.
It just goes with it. I think most people just look for the location. They don't look for me as well. Yeah, and it's small, but it's cosy as Fleetwood, and that's what I like about it. I'm looking backwards here, a bit of Michael Jackson. Oh, come on now. Michael May miss and Michael May hit. Both on 9s. This is the bench, otherwise known as Shaun Rooney's home for next season. Oops, should have said that. Hello, Shaun.
It was in air and I'd agree.
I'm Shaun, you alright, mate? Alright, mate, how have you been? You alright, pal? Good, yeah? And then, like, this is like the top of the mount, I am the resurrection and all that.
Why do people pay for that? Come on now. Honestly, boy, there was 20 minutes of that. I mean, literally discussing meal deals, what I have for me breakfast, like where I'm about to go, what I'm about to drink. Honestly, Wardy, I don't... $1.99 people are paying for that a month. $1.99.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like great value.
Yeah.
It was, I'm almost speechless. It was that good. But yeah, definitely, I definitely recommend £1.99 watching that. That seems like a good investment.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, go on then. You could keep liking the stream as well. That'd be massively appreciated. Cambridge United 2 points better off than last season. 9 points from the last 8 games of the season. Obviously, Monk won 2 out of his, 11 games, I think it was, towards the end as well, 10 games. Managed to stay up. We're never really looking like they're going down. Those back-to-back wins over the Easter period when Barnsley and they beat Wigan, didn't they, at home? Wigan just seems to be everyone's friend, especially away from home towards the end. Port Vale, 12 points worse off than last season, 12 points in 2024, the worst in the division. Even Carlisle had more on 13, Burton 19, Cambridge 21. And just a poor season for them, really, Port Vale.
Yeah, I think the writing was on the wall before Darren Moore came in. Their recruitment, I thought, in January was terrible. To be honest, I think we talk about saving a season, and we speak about what can you do to sort of to help a campaign, and bits and pieces in January are always very, very important. And they just didn't really get that right. I thought they just didn't recruit a striker, which felt so bizarre. They probably needed about 2 or 3 strikers, and they didn't. They just did not recruit in the right areas. I think Darren Moore coming in, we joked about it, the length of the contract. I still think that's fairly bizarre, to be quite frank. I think that length of the contract seemed a little bit crazy. Whether or not there's going to be a buyout there, maybe there could be a relegation clause in there. Not entirely sure. I think, do I blame Darren Moore? No, you can't, because there's a lot of moving parts that were prior to that. However, has he come in and revolutionised that team? No. I thought they might galvanise a group. He seems like quite a good manager, less so tactician. Did he really lift them? Maybe a little bit, but not really. I don't think he did lift them in the way that we might have thought they would be by him. So yeah, I'm not going to blame Darren Moore for the relegation. Of course, it's been a pretty terrible season, but you still think that they were hoping for a better reaction than what they did. When you imagine, I imagine spent quite a bit on Darren Moore, to be honest. I don't think he was going to be a very cheap option. And then as for
5-year deal as well.
Yeah, potentially. As I said there, the length of the deal is a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, disappointing season, of course, but at least they've got a coach in there that they know. Hopefully, if the length of the deal is as solid as it seems, they've got someone there for a bit of a longevity.
Next up, Fleetwood Town 3, Burton 0. I mean,
staying up.
We've won 3 out of our last 4, right? I'll say a little stat. Fleetwood Town, under Charlie Adam, 16th in League One, right? I know you've won 3 of the last 4. You played Northampton, Wigan and Burton. Obviously, Burton are terrible. Look, Burton yesterday needed to win or needed to better or match Cheltenham's result. And unfortunately, yesterday they forgot the non-negotiables. The good week on the training ground, unfortunately, didn't quite work for them. Not to quote Martin Patterson. If I'm honest with you, I don't understand what he offers. I know he's a young coach, and as is Charlie Adam, and I think he's won maybe 1 less game than Charlie Adam in the same similar type of period. But Dino Manria, I know he had issues with certain players, improved them, and I thought he'd have kept them up. And maybe it wasn't so good in the training room. We don't know that from the outside. But it doesn't look like the players look confused, and they just don't look right at all. Fleetwood scored 3 easy goals, and it could have been 5 or 6. I don't like Martin Patterson's interviews. I think it's, I hold this responsibility, I this. And it's there sometimes you've just got to not mention yourself. And I wasn't a big fan of the big fist pump where we went like that. And I think you've just lost the game. And it reminds me of when Fleetwood stayed up 2 years ago away Bolton, because there were 4 worse teams than us. And this year we've got more points, and eventually it'll catch up with you. So Burton really need to look at it. They're probably they are the smallest club now in the division. They always have, been down there. Look, the crowds they get are good for the level and good for what they can produce. And I think they're a good, hard-working football club. But there's issues there. For Fleetwood to end the season nicely, look, it's been an awful season. I've wanted to jack this in so many times, but we keep going. We keep plodding on. And look, I was proud of the boys yesterday. They went out and fought. If we'd have scored the 2 penalties at Peterborough away, Fleetwood Town would have survived. And I've said this so many times, as much as it seemed impossible and so far off I went, it's not, though. It really isn't, because you think when we had a sending off away at Wycombe. You think
Yeah.
the Lincoln game, the Exeter game that you were at, Wardy, where we had a disallowed goal, and no disrespect, for 40 to 45 minutes, we were unbelievable. We were they're the best I've seen us play for ages. Port Vale away, where you give them a 2-goal lead. So many times. Would we have played like that if there was pressure on the game? Absolutely not. I'm there for sure. Well done for Burton for staying up. What do you think?
I was pretty the same as you. I was like, where has this been? Where has this been in the last couple of weeks? And you know what? I think it shows that this group and your Fleetwood group have been playing with a lot of nerves this season, and they haven't been quite sure, and they don't feel comfortable and confident enough. And we saw in the last couple of weeks, and especially yesterday, that when they do sort of play with that freedom and that sense of, well, we've got nothing really to play for now, we can show what we're about, they can put in some really good performances. And you've been saying this season, that group of players are good. It's a good group. It got talent. But when you can't show it week in, week out, and you are playing with nerves and a sheer lack of confidence with 3 different managers, it's very, very difficult. And look, I think you've been let down by certain players. I think you've been really let down by certain players. So look, we won't sort of go into that now. You've been pretty open about that. I know your video, you spoke about the reasons why you got relegated, and I think there's been a bit of an issue internally, but you still sort of walk away from 3-0 wins when you've been relegated thinking, what on earth and why on earth have we not seen this when it really matters? And the big moments and getting the big moments wrong has been a huge reason why you've been down there. And you speak about those 2 penalties; those are really big moments in games, and you sort of fell short there. In terms of Burton, I think they're so lucky. I think they're so lucky to lose 3-0 on the final day, knowing that you could very easily lose, and if Cheltenham had won, you would have got relegated. To lose 3-0 is terrible. It is terrible. The minute you've lost the game convincingly, they played that game as if they were safe. And if
that also stayed up.
Yeah, exactly. If Cheltenham had won, I think Patterson should have been sacked there and then. It is disgusting that he's going to, they're going to get away with it. Fine. Patterson has got a few results since he's come in, and he'll look at that probably quite selfishly and go, I kept these players up. I kept this team up because of the results I got here and there. But let's be honest, all it took was Cheltenham to score when they equalised, win that game. I know a lot of moving parts. They lost that game 2-1, but they were definitely in that match. We'll come on to it. Cheltenham knocked on that door. Another day, they could have scored 3 or 4 goals and beaten Stevenage on the final day. And Burton had no idea. But those Burton players had no idea when they were playing what was going on. Maybe got a little bit of information from their own fans in at half time. But it is grim the way that they played, knowing that they could still have stayed up.
Their fans wouldn't have been watching our game after 2-0. 100% not. Because I remember when we went 3-2 down at Bolton and 2-1 down. I wasn't even looking at our game from the start. I was thinking, we're going to lose. Rotherham, and we should have gone down that year, and it'd probably been better if we went down then, realistically. But no, obviously, Burton's results came away at Bristol Rovers, Leyton, Orient, beat Stevenage, which was that kill. When we beat Leyton Orient, that stung a little bit for Fleetwood. But I always thought for Burton, I thought that result from Cheltenham would have shot them. They thought they were safe last week, and then all of a sudden you've got to get back up off your toes. And I bet you now, if Cheltenham would have won, there would have been many complaints about the team of Peterborough folded. It won't get folded because it doesn't matter now, but you just watch that. That would have come in. A big thank you to Hendo Imps, who's joined us a member. If you want to join Hendo Imps as well, I think we've got 48 recurring members. If you fancy making that up to 50, join down below as well. There's 7 videos, soon to be 8 videos out very soon. Cheltenham were also in that bottom 4 matchup. Under Darryl Clark, they've won 12, drawn 7, and lost 18. They've lost 26 matches all year. If you lose over half your games, you should get relegated. If you have two managers or 3 managers in the season, sometimes you're going to be going, looking to be going down there. He averaged 1.16 points per game. That'll be 53 points. Great wins in there as well. I thought the introduction of Matty Taylor, he must have scored 6 or 7 goals towards the end of the season. Good striker if he's provided service. I'm gutted for him. Luke Southwood announced that going to leave the football club as well. Spent 1 year. I think he had 99 appearances as well. The only good news for them, they've got 20 grand from Alfie May winning Golden Boot, which, what's that going to do for you?
Well, maybe that'll add to the playing budget next season and a playing budget that needs to come into play. I'm a little bit worried about Cheltenham off the pitch. That structure for me doesn't seem right. They're still operating as if they are in the National League or below, which is a bit of a problem. And they've not got away with it. They've been good, and to have 3 seasons in League One is a massive achievement. So they didn't get lucky, or they didn't sort of get away with it this season. If they would have stayed up, I think they probably would have got away with it. They didn't, and they fell short. I think they need to work. There needs to be some work off the pitch. They need to bring in a proper director of football. There needs to be a structure in place, a sporting director. There needs to be people in that football club that know football and actually have a long-term ambition, potentially. So we'll see what happens there. I don't think a relegation, it hurts, of course, but that game yesterday doesn't define their season. Of course, mathematically it relegates them, but that start of the season, the reason why they're going down, right? The reason why they're going down is because they started the season so badly. Daryl Clark's even got for Daryl Clark to get them even thinking about staying up shows how much of a great job he's done. So I feel sorry for Clark because I think if he would have stayed up, it would have been probably the best achievement a manager's done in League One history. I think it probably would have. I think it could have been manager of the season worthy. Yeah. So disappointing for him. But like I said, that game yesterday against Stevenage, they gave it a good go, but it's not that game that gets them relegated. It's the start of the season that was so bad.
When your teams like Charlton, Fleetwood, Burton, teams like that, no disrespect, you cannot play a 36, 40 game season. You've got to be you've got to be in as many games as you can. Look, you can have 4 or 5 off games in the middle of the season, but you can't have successively in one block. Like we had 2 blocks. We had the first 6, we were all right for 10. Then we had a block of 13 games, and then we basically played a 28 game season, Fleetwood. And to be fair, in Charlie Adams' last 18 games, I think we've won 6, drawn 7, lost 7. So in the last 20 games, we've relatively been steady, really, and that would keep you up mid-table. We're going to go towards the playoff race as well. So when I come to the comments, if you could hit a like button, we're currently at 78 likes. If we can get to 100, massively appreciate it as well. And we set ourselves a bit of an ambitious goal of 15,000 subscribers by the end of the season. There's so much content coming. So if you could help us out as well. And go and subscribe to our mate Jack Ward Football Podcast over there. On the road to 10,000 now, eh?
Yeah, we are... I think we're 8.5 nearly now, which is crazy. Yeah, 10,000 by the end of 2024 is the aim. So that'll be hopefully possible. Wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely so. Right, Reading 3, Blackpool 2. Blackpool, I've always said all season, don't count them off. I don't think they've been good enough all season. And I think when I look at the table, to sum a club up, I think Blackpool being 8th in the division sums that group up. They are the 8th best team in the division, in my eyes. I think in that table, the only team at the start of the season I would say you could swap for, and when I looked at squads, would be Lincoln for Charlton, but not obviously Lincoln. I thought Lincoln maybe top 10. I thought Charlton would do a lot better than they would. And then I thought Blackpool. I always thought Blackpool would flicker with it and be able to beat the worst sides, your Carlisles, your Fleetwoods, but then struggle maybe against the better side. To be fair, they've been good against the better side, your Porters away, your Barnsley and stuff. For Blackpool, they've been relying on individual pieces of moments of brilliance from Dembele and Jordan Rhodes heavily as well. I don't get the system that Blackpool play with a back 3 with wing backs at all. That team suits 4-4-2 when he had Rhodes, and you could play Lavery and Rhodes, and you could put Leons at left midfield or Dembele and Hamilton. You've got pace for days and you've got goal scorers. Blackpool went up 3 years ago. They played a back 3. It didn't work. They went 4-4-2 with Jerry Yates, Gary Medine up front. Big man, little man, it worked for them. Gary Medine wasn't a natural goal scorer, but he was the feed, and he was the reason that Jerry Yates could score 20 goals a season. Blackpool won the previous 4 games, took 13 points from the previous 5. Look, they only beat, in no disrespect, Cambridge, Fleetwood, Carlisle, and an average Barnsley side. He lost 12 games away, and we're talking about reasons not getting into the playoffs. You cannot lose half your away games. For example, Oxford won just under half their away games on 11, and that turned out to be the difference. Reading, what a season for them. We're talking about Wigan, what a season for Reading. See, I know they're kind of your rivals, and obviously you're looking at Nibs, 11 goals, 6 assists. Aziz, 8 goals, 9 assists. Smith, I think he scored 15 goals this year, 9 of which are in his last 12. He loves coming to life this time. I think he scored something like 6 and 8 last year for Cambridge.
Yeah, I think we'll start with Blackpool. There's pretty more to talk about there first. I think you're right. You can't be 14th in the away table and expect to get in the top 6. That is not possible, and it's not about not being worthy. It's not about being less deserving. It's about just it being mathematically impossible. You can't be 14th and expect to be in the top 6. That's just the reality of it. It's a massive issue that needs to be solved next season. I think you're right. I think the system wasn't always quite straightforward. I think they also were very reliant on individuals. Like you said there, I think Rhodes, when he got injured, that just wasn't the same team. He was just a natural finisher that was almost dragging them through games at times. And when that disappeared, they would then look to Dembele, who had a really good season. Actually, Dembele doesn't really get spoken about enough. He's had a really good campaign with his goal contributions. But again, you can't just look at him. You've got to look at that entire squad. You've got to be better on the road. You just have to sort of grind your way through matches at times. And I think Blackpool have been a little bit flippant. I think they've been a little bit soft. And that isn't really what Neil Critchley has been about in previous years. They've normally been a really robust, sort of hard-working team that have sort of found ways to get results and found ways to win. They've been on brilliant runs in previous years in this league because they've sort of got a really good run going. This season, they've just sort of been a bit flat at times. They've just been a bit meh. It's not a great way of describing a team. They've just been a bit average, and that's where they are finishing around 8th. They've been really good at times. They've also been really poor, but for the majority of it, they've just been a bit middle of the road. So it's a fair finish. I don't think Blackpool fans are going to be too upset about where they finish. Of course, they'll be frustrated that they finished in 8th, but in terms of will they feel shortchanged or hard done by? I don't think they have too much of a reason to feel shortchanged or hard done by, to be frank, because I don't think they were great for the entire season. In terms of Reading, yeah, rivals or not, they've had a really good season, and to deal what they've had to deal with and still come out in 17th and get a really good set of results. Actually, in the last few games of the season, getting a result against Lincoln, beating Blackpool, they've had some tough games. I did a video talking about teams running to the season. Reading had one of the hardest, if not the hardest, run-ins to the season, and they've come out of it, I think, absolutely fine. There was no real fear of relegation. In the end, finished safe by 9 points, which is a really, really good place to be. And to deal with that stuff they've had to deal with out of their control, away from the football pitch, and still be so safe and play at times a really good brand of football, I think is a massive credit to Sellers and a massive credit to that football club. Get things sorted off the pitch. I think Reading will be a really, really strong team next year.
Absolutely so. When I predicted them 6th, stupidly so, I think, did you predict them quite heavily at the top?
I think I've got in my top 10. But the problem was we did our predictions when they signed Sam Smith and Harvey Nibbs, and then they got another deduction.
They signed 4, didn't they? And 4 days he signed Sam Smith, Charlie Savage, Lewis Wing, and Smith up front. I think the 4. We will come to that comment about Bolton, because when we talk about Derby. Next up, Lincoln 0, Portsmouth 2. Now, look, I wanted both of you to get in. I like seeing my mates happy if I can. But Danny Mandroy scored 5 penalties this year, misses one at a massive moment. Look, he's got 6 goals, 4 assists last season, scored 8 this season, got, I think 6 assists as well. Lincoln in 2024 have been nothing short of immense and got 42 points. Only Derby County on 46 and Portsmouth on 47 have more. 12 points better off than last season. They scored 18 goals more, conceded 7, more as well. But they still only conceded 47 goals. Like, if you concede round about 1 goal a game, you're going to be up there and, in a good place. The goalkeeping, in Lucas Jensen and, to be fair, I think Lincoln over the last 3 or 4 years in League One have had pretty much one of the best goalkeepers in the division. And unfortunately for Lincoln, I worried for them because I thought the last time it was in their hands, I didn't think they handled it well. They did so well to chase back. And I think at one stage, Ward, I think they were maybe 13 or 14 points behind you. And it's easy when you're chasing. You know, you ask any world champion in any sport, Michael Smith said he don't want to be world champion, he wants to chase it. You know, Luca Brissell, since he's world champion in snooker, didn't do very well at the Crucible this year, knocked out first. When you're chasing something and you've got a point to prove, maybe Lincoln would have been better being on the outside of the playoffs for this, and maybe that's why it suited Oxford more. Barnsley had been thereabouts this season. Lincoln haven't got in the playoffs because they lost to Portsmouth at home, who have got 97 points, bear in mind, and dropped 41 points all year. Lincoln haven't got in because they lost to Wigan at home. The reason Lincoln had got lost in, they didn't have a striker for 3 months. They didn't win for 3 months. The way they have even challenged for the playoffs with a mid-table budget, a managerial change, a young manager, a novice, let's be honest about it. This is probably maybe a year, possibly even 2 years early in their plan. They would never, no one in Lincoln, the playoffs would have been the last aim they would have had, 100%. But their aims this season will probably be better last seasons, score a few more goals, be attractive. Especially when the manager comes in, he's probably look for top 10. To go and get 5 points, was it in the end, is unbelievable. And it won't feel like that now. They'll be hurting. They will be hurting. But that squad, the Ethan Erahons, the Ben Houses, the Joe Taylors, the Lucas Jensens, there's so many more you could name as well. The back line, Alex Mitchell should be the first player that they try and re-sign in this. That should be their first bit of business because Joe Taylor's going to go and play in the Championship and score 20 goals. I believe that. Great season. I'm gutted for Jake. Happy for you, though. What do you think of it, mate? Well done to Portsmouth for winning the league as well. That's already been sorted. Lincoln and Portsmouth 19 clean sheets each. Great result. I must admit, I did quite love Paddy Lane's celebration. He's a cheeky boy, is Paddy Lane, isn't he?
He is cheeky, and I can see why Lincoln fans aren't too impressed with it.
I love him.
It's pretty. I mean, it's something housery to the highest degree. In terms of Lincoln, yeah, I echo everything you've said. I think it's an achievement on its own, like you say, to even be considered a playoff contender, considering where they were at one point. And I've been so impressed with Skubala. I've been so impressed with the way that they've approached these last couple of months. And look, they've been so deserving of this. They haven't sort of stumbled across this position. When you're 13 points behind, you don't stumble back into the chase. You have to earn your right, and they definitely earned their right. Some of the performances, some of the results were magnificent, and they've just fallen short. They've fallen short. I think they did get quite unfortunate with the fact that they had to play Pompey on the final game of the season, home or away, good form or not. You're playing the league champions. You're playing against a team that would have got a bit of a telling off in the previous week with their performance against Wigan. They weren't going to go down without a fight. And I always said this. I think if they'd have played Pompey the week before when they played Wigan, or if Pompey had won the league a week later, it could have been a completely different story.
Portsmouth would have lost to Wigan because say if they beat Wigan, right? Yeah. I know that, or drew to Wigan, right? I think them losing last week, you don't want to win the league and go and lose your last 2 games of the season. You don't want to do that. So you think that maybe fire them up a little bit more? Like, people saying, oh, Portsmouth didn't need to win. I went, like, for the integrity. And it's there, like, look, I'll say this now. And I had an argument with Jake, and he can say his players wouldn't do it. If Lincoln would have won that game, Lincoln fans can moan all they want. And Lincoln fans are exceptional. One, I think they are the best. These 2 sets of supporters are the best home support you could get in League One for atmosphere, for noise. You know, Lincoln are a mini Portsmouth, and there's nothing wrong with being a mini Portsmouth at all because they are a massive football club. If Joe Taylor scored like that in the last minute and waved at the Portsmouth fans going, hey, you got a short allocation, and cried, Jake would be coming on here going, oh, what a boy, it's Joe Taylor. He's a little shithouse. He's a confident boy. You would be. And don't tell me otherwise. They would be. Like, because he's one of those, you hate him if he's playing against you. And, you know, I'm all for it. Look, if he does it against me, I'm thinking, oh, what an idiot. I'm thinking, but if he plays for me, I'm thinking, great.
I've always said this, football fans are the biggest contradiction.
Yeah.
I've said this, football fans are the biggest contradiction, and that's not a Lincoln thing, that's a football fan thing. We love to fit our own agenda. If something fits our agenda, then we'll say it, and if it doesn't, we'll just pretend it doesn't exist. Look, it's gonna hurt. It's really gonna hurt. And I said this to Jake on the phone before the game. I said, because you're in that position, going into the day, and Oxford are 7th, I think it hurts more to start in the top 6 and fall out of the top 6. I'm not saying I would have been not upset if we hadn't finished in the top 6. I was delighted. We went from 7th to 5th, which was definitely not my prediction at all. But I think to fall out of 6th on the final day,
it's the worst
does
position to
hurt.
finish.
It
I
is.
think it's the worst position bar relegation.
I think, 7th is, it really, really is a stinger. I also think as well, I've always said this, and we'll come on to Oxford, I think I was pretty confident that if Oxford won their game, I didn't see Lincoln, Barnsley both winning. I thought at least one of them would drop points. Both of those two teams, Barnsley had a reason to drop points because, I mean, their managerial stability is just on the floor. And as for Lincoln, well, they're playing Portsmouth. I didn't think they were going to lose. I thought Lincoln probably were going to get a draw against Pompey. I think I probably said about 2-2. I just don't think you can I don't think you can sort of just... Portsmouth are there for a reason. And Pompey are also a team that on the final game of the season, away from home, final home game of the season, a team that travels so well on the road, they're not going to want to go down without a fight. So, yeah, look, Lincoln have been great. And I think next season they've already sort of installed those building blocks to suggest they're going to be in a really good place. They've got to keep hold of talent as well. It's important because teams are going to come sniffing, especially now there's no chance of their promotion. Teams are going to have to come knocking. They've got some loanies they want to keep hold of. Ethan Orahan, for example, somebody that I think will be looked at by championship clubs. Jensen, is he a permanent signing? I think he is. He's not on loan, is he, Jensen?
Yeah, Jensen, permanent.
So again, there's going to be clubs that are going to be looking at
massive.
him. So they've got to keep hold of talent.
Goalkeepers.
Yeah, exactly. And they've got to keep hold of talent, but they've got a really good manager there who's got a very, very clear way of playing. Trusted in January with some good recruits and recruits that have got them to this position. And so you feel as though they're going to be okay. I feel as though they're going to be absolutely fine, to be honest. I think they're in a really good spot, but it won't feel like that right now. It's gonna really, really sting.
It will hurt, and probably wasn't the right time to talk to Jake about it. And I can understand why he's not wanting to come on tonight. I can understand that, but
totally,
look, it's one of those. It's football. I think you look at it at the end of the day, you won't like what Paddy did, and it's football. I think some people need to realise if we didn't have that in our game, it would. That's what I like in football. You still need to be able to have. It's gone so fickle, I think, at times. What a boy, by the way. Good to see you in the chat, mate. I hope you're well. Derby's coming soon, mate. I hope you're well, mate. Good to see you. Again, I didn't see you coming away from Sincil Bank. Peterborough beat Oxford and Barnsley beat Bolton. We'll have a look at that later. Go on then, talk me through it. Exeter, first loss in 9 or 10 matches as well. 5 points better off than last year. Oxford, since Des came in, won 11, drawn 9, lost 9. 1.44 points per game. That would have you around about 10th over a full season. But you mentioned before something very interesting. You said it on T-Lop as well, that League One podcast. If you haven't already, come and join us over there as well, where we kind of work together as well. Lincoln and Oxford are going to have to play cup football. And that's what you've done, mate. You've won 5 of your last 8. You've drawn 2. You lost to Lincoln. Nothing in that. You lost to Bolton 5-0 the previous game. Some good wins against poor sides like your Port Vales, your Fleetwood. But you beat good sides in there. Peterborough, massive there as well. Secure the playoff position. Ranked, 13 since Des come in. But a massive win. You're in the playoff. And unlike Lincoln, you had that bumper start you could rely on.
Yeah, and I think Jake said this as well. Over the course of the 46-game season, we've been better than Lincoln, if we're being honest. We have been. There's a graph that's going around Twitter that shows sort of where we were at different stages of the campaign and who we played during the different stages of the campaign. And although Oxford did have their inconsistencies, we dealt with a managerial change. We dealt with a managerial change in terms of somebody leaving that was really well respected and really well liked, and somebody who was doing a really good job. So it wasn't just a bad start. And we, similar to Lincoln, we both dealt with a managerial change, but in a very, very different way. Really happy, so happy for Des Buckingham. So happy for Des. He has had a pretty tough time, to be honest. And we've been really critical of him. And just to see him yesterday, sort of just elated, but also very, very relaxed in saying that we're not going to celebrate 6th or 5th. I still can't believe we're just 5th. 5th as if we've won the league or got promoted. I mean, last night, if you follow me on Twitter, we probably went a little bit too far. I think in my head, we probably did get promotion. I thought at 2 o'clock this morning.
Wardy, can I just interrupt you? You'd do that if you lost 8-0. So don't give me that. Oh, I went out drinking to celebrate. If you lost 8-0 and finished bottom of the league, you'd be going, oh, I need to consolidate. Or mid-table. We stayed in League One. You've far.
Well, maybe if we stayed in League One, yesterday was a perfect excuse, wasn't it? But no, we still got a job to do, right? We've still got a job to do, whether we complete that job or not. Now, I don't think there's going to be huge pressure on us. There's a really annoying car outside. It's making a really annoying noise. Is that coming up on the microphone? I think it probably is.
You're all right, mate. I think you're all right. Normally, I have another annoying little noise coming from Lincoln going, playoffs!
Well, he's not here at the moment. That's me. That's my job. I thought as well, you said to talk about Exeter, that we had to do our bit. It wasn't as simple as we weren't playing a team that weren't in good form or haven't been in are in a relegation battle, for example, which arguably could be worse with the fact that they're playing for something. But Exeter have been a really, really good side in recent weeks. They've been up there at the form table. They're up there. I think they might be first in the form table before that game yesterday. I've been so impressed by them. I've been so impressed with the way that Gary Colbert has sort of saved his job, actually. He's done a really, really quite magnificent sort of job. And to go there and win 2-1, score 2 early goals, I've been using this phrase, final day state. Lincoln knowing they had to win because we went 2-0 up is huge. Yeah. They couldn't, I think, because we scored early.
It helps.
And at half time, we were 2-0 up, for example. Lincoln would have been told, right, Oxford are winning this game 2-0. We have to win. And Lincoln, if they score that penalty, you trust them to win that game 1-0. If we're being honest, you trust Lincoln to win that game 1-0, maybe 1-1 because Pompey are a very, very good team. But you believe defensively at 1-0, Lincoln have proven that they can beat and see out victories against most opposition this season. Missing that penalty, then knowing you still got to go and win the game, and then naturally gaps sort of arise. That only happens on the final day. Only happens on the final day. So, yeah, delighted with Oxford United. Delighted that we've done it. Really pleased for Des. Really pleased for the group of players. Really pleased for the supporters that were there. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there. People will laugh and smile about that. But I definitely will be there, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry. He's making an appearance again. He's back for the playoff. Well, definitely the first leg. Obviously, tickets haven't come out yet, or information hasn't come out yet for the second leg. So definitely the first leg, that ticket was sorted today. But yeah, I still can't quite believe it. And look, I'm not going to do a Jake, right? I think we are heavy underdogs going into this playoff campaign. Lad. I think we, and that isn't me trying to play it safe either. Trust me, I'll be confident when I need to be confident. But we are 3 wins away from promotion to the Championship, which is absolutely crazy.
Can I just interrupt you here, right? One thing I will say, right? People say, do you enjoy Tulip? And I go, yeah, it's all right. And most weeks people go, you looked a little bit down to me. I went, right, try working with somebody who's won the league with 97 points that wins it. Portsmouth, bear in mind, finished 44 points in front of Fleetwood, bear in mind, right? A team Oxford that have been around the playoffs all season. At the start, Wardy, you were very unbearable. Like, oh my God, we're going to do it. We're doing it. I'm not saying we could, but could. And then we've got him that went for about 3 months. He's a great bloke, and I appreciate him. And I'm loving to meet. But he's that when he literally puffs out his cheeks and he's smiling. It's that grin. I'm there like, you look like the Grinch, mate. Shut up. And I'm there like, my team have got relegated and won. We won 7 games in our first 42. We won 3 and 4. So yeah, it's been awful.
People have asked about Nappers. I'll ask you this question for Oxford going into the Peterborough game. Does 5-0 make any difference?
No, I don't think it does. I think for them, they'll be cautious and wary of it. I think it respects your mentality. Don't think it puts any pressure on you. I think that it's a completely different game, like I said before. But I think it kind of then mix, what they're like. I think they'll be more nervous if they win 4-0 instead of you win 5. They're going to be more nervous. Because if they go 4-0 up, I tell you now, oops. The one good thing is they've got home advantage second, and that people say it doesn't matter. You saw last year with Sheffield Wednesday, and I think that if you having a lead in the first leg of the players and you go away, I think the best mentality is to just keep attacking and don't sit back. And because you've seen with Fleetwood, League One teams will make mistakes, and Peterborough, are great at home. It's going to be I think it's a toughest game you could have got. Really, I think Bolton, there would have been no pressure, and all the pressure's on them. And I look at playing Barnsley at the minute. They're probably the most favourable. Who we're going to come to now. Barnsley, I've got 2 points from the last 6. Now, I looked at the record against the playoffs. Oxford, you went there early in the season. Mark Harris scored. Barnsley basically played the same week. First couple of, I think the second and the third home game of the season, they lost to both Peterborough and Oxford. I think they were both 3-1 at home. They went away at Peterborough, I think, and drew the game. Went away at Oxford and won. Barnsley, which was, I watched that game, it was on a Tuesday night. The wind was an unbelievable from memory. What shot an eye for? I think it was an own goal from, was it Long who scored an own goal? It was definitely an own goal. And then I think their only win realistically, they played Bolton home and away. The only win was Oxford. So they played Bolton home and away, drew both games. Peterborough drew both games as well. Oxford, lost obviously at home to Peterborough, drew away. Peterborough's record against the top six is nothing to write home about. 2 draws against Bolton. I think obviously that they didn't do too well against. They obviously beat you at home, lost away, and then Bolton home and away drew. I think they even drew with 10 men as well away at Bolton early in the season. But Barnsley 1-2, drawn 1, lost, it's just been inconsistent up and down. One winning 9, 2 wins in 12. The 2 wins have come against Burton and Carlisle. I don't know where to see them.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? I think it is tough.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the best way of putting it. Sorry, who do you want me to talk about first? Is it?
Go on to Barnsley. Obviously, the Northampton. Yes, it was look. I don't know how, but they're in the playoffs. But again, because they've been around the playoffs, so I think at one stage they had an 11-point gap, and you said I'd love both of us and Lincoln to both get in, but it's not going to happen because of Barnsley. And Barnsley, up to that Bolton game, where they won that, you thought playoff, potentially, never mind playoffs, top 2. And
yeah, they were in the race. They definitely were in the race, and I think there was a chance that they could push into it. It just didn't. Neil Collins, just something clicked in it. Something just didn't really. I mean, it clicked a bit in a bad way. It clicked, into the wrong gear, and you felt as if after that, the Burton result. I mean, losing at home to Cambridge was an absolute disaster. Then putting it right against Burton, you felt then was that that could have been just a blip, and they can sort of push on again. It just didn't really come. Didn't win a game, of course. Since then. You know what? Put them again. I hate to say it because I'm sure Lincoln fans won't be too worried about it. Losing 5-1 to Lincoln, was really the turning point. They only won 2 games after that, and like you said, that was Carlisle and Burton. The rest were defeats. There's a couple of draws, and I think there's 3 draws since that result. So, yeah, it just didn't really. Defensively, they've been all over the shop. Going forward, they've been very, very hit and miss. I think McAtee's had a really good season. Devante Cole hasn't been quite as prolific as he has been in previous years. You just think, I think that midfield's really strong. Phillips, I think for a long time, people were saying that Phillips really kept Neil Collins in a job. He was coming up with some really, really important moments. And yeah, I felt like Neil Collins was getting a bit of a disservice when it was going well. And then it went really badly. And then you sort of, probably should stop talking about that because, clearly there is something, clearly something there is going not quite right there. And of course, Barnsley fans watch the team week in, week out, so they know what it's like. They know what they're watching, and it hasn't been. And I guess it hasn't been always attractive. A lot of the time, it hasn't been attractive. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see with Barnsley. I think they're going to go there with nothing to lose. They're pretty going to the playoff campaign now thinking, well, we are the underdogs, and that might suit them.
Yeah, 100%. We've still got a little bit to go. We've still got Derby to discuss in the League One table and a little bit extra. I think we're in overtime. Teal Up is on Spotify and Apple. So if you just look for that League One podcast, or find us on Twitter as well. We are over there as well. And obviously, if you want to watch it, it's available on Patreon, and you get extra episodes and stuff as well. We've got 200 people in the chat. If you've not subscribed already, 60% last week weren't subscribed, and we want to hit 15,000 subscribers. So if you could hit a subscription, that'd be massively appreciated. Go subscribe to Wardy while you're at it as well. The link is in there below as well. Derby County, Wardy. Now, we had a great chat 29th of October after the game on the 28th of October. The game before, Stevenage won against Derby 3-1. And I thought, right, that was a big moment in Derby season, because I'll always remember on Halloween, you beat Lincoln didn't you, at Lincoln? But they beat Northampton, I think, 4-0. And that was actually Northampton's first defeat that was more than one goal, because they were always in games. And I thought, okay, and they went on a great run. Before that game, so after that game, Derby had won 6, drawn 3, lost 5. So you think they're at about 21 points from 14 games, 1.5 points per game, 69 points. That wouldn't got you in the playoffs. That got you about 8th in the league. Round about where Blackpool were all year, to be fair. Since then, Derby County won 22 of their last 32 matches, accumulating in 2.29 points per game. 9 more in that time than Portsmouth, who won the league and were unbelievable and didn't hardly drop off. What a turnaround. The difference between Derby and Bolton, Derby could go anywhere and win 1-0 and could keep clean sheets and had that tight-knit about them. And they had an experienced man in Paul Warne had done it and, lived off it as well. Bolton probably played better football and probably got a better, younger, unique squad and a better to watch. But Derby got the job done, and you could be towards the end, you just thought Derby going to get the job done. Stand-up performers for them as well, Wardy. I think Aaron Cashin, 43 starts from 44 matches. Mendes Lang, 9 goals, 16 assists. Max Bird, 6 goals, 7 assists. I'd like to mention Craig Forsyth, who's been a stalwart for 10 or 11 years, signed from Watford. He only played 26 games, but versatility, left side centre half, or could play left back or left wing back. Conor Horahan again, 5 goals, 8 assists. James Collins, look, only scored 14 goals and was injured for a portion of the season. He scored 25 goals in 80 League One. It's not great for a striker, but when you've got Mendes Lang, when you've got like a Max Bird or Conor Horahan, you can add in as well. They got the job done from all over. An unbelievable turnaround. We speak about Exeter not sacking Gary Colwell. Do you think that decision, them not sacking and sticking with Paul Warne and backing him in January, Abu Adams come in, who was outstanding, probably one of the players of the season for them. I think the impact he had on that team, he's up there with Joe Taylor at Lincoln. What do you think? Do you think a massive decision that, because they could have gone, because their fans were fuming, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. To be honest, I don't think they were ever going to sack him. And I may be wrong there. I don't know anything, but I think they were I think they had to stick with him because of the recruitment. It was so aligned. They were all very Paul Warne signings, very experienced, very know-how, very mature players that had been there and done it. I think they had to stick with him. Of course, if they'd sort of been around mid-table come January, then then probably you start putting the trigger there, and things can get quite messy or a bit more messy than they were. Because, like you say, there were a lot of fans that weren't quite buying into that. But his pedigree, his experience, and what he's done before is evidence. Rotherham teams didn't really ever start fantastically. They just went on an incredible vein of form, and then that run just sort of blew them away. So, I don't think the board were ever going to consider sacking Paul Warne, because they knew that he's somebody that needs a little bit of time. Players need to buy into a very, very unique style of play. It's sort of a bit of a traditional, hard-working based style of play. And if they do buy into that, it's winning becomes a habit. And when winning becomes a habit, then you're going to be in a very, very good place come the end of the season. So, yeah, really impressed with Derby County. Really impressed with Paul Warne. Like I said there, if you're ever sort of wondering at the start of the season, what can Paul Warne do? Is he the right man? Look at what he's done in League One before. He's a know-how experienced coach, great man manager, fantastic charisma. Somebody who I think we're going to miss in League One. Somebody that sort of can't watch every single game of football, but still has to analyse every single game of football. Paul Warne is perfect because he gives you so much information. Yeah. If you want to sort of know the way that the Derby County... He's just down to earth. He reminds me of like a
David Brent.
He's got the dad jokes. He's got the humour. He is like the charisma of like a dad who stepped in for a Sunday league stint. But of course, he's got the experience and the footballing know-how of exactly. But he's got the experience and know-how, obviously, as an incredible manager at this level. So. Really happy for him. I think he'll be a miss to the division. I think Derby County, of course, won't care at all. But
we all say about the goals. Look at Notts County. I think they scored 80 odd goals, 85, 86 goals this year, and obviously they conceded in the 80s. I think maybe even the 90s. Derby conceded 37 goals this year. They've kept 21 clean sheets. So in 16 games, you conceded 37, right? Which, look, in the other 26 games, you conceded 37. Just 1.1 per game. It's not, even if you conceded 1.1 per game over 46 games for getting your clean sheet, it's unbelievable. And, Curtis Nelson again getting a hot shout. Yeah, played at Blackpool in the last season under McCarthy, obviously the only signing he made. Experience. And that's what they've got. The Bradleys, the Wards, they signed smart for League One. And that is what's got them over that line. And the atmosphere the last few games at Pride Park has been unbelievable. Got them over the line and deservedly so. Missed out on the playoffs last year and much better season. To go and get 92 points, 46, I always say 2 points a game will get you promoted. I'm really glad they didn't get 91. I'm really glad they didn't get 93. I'm glad they got 92 because my point stands 46 games, 2 points per game. And then people go sometimes, they moan Wardy when they go, well, we're 10 unbeaten, but we've won 5 and we've drawn 5. And they're like, 2 points a game. It doesn't matter. I think Sheffield Wednesday went on a great run last year where they'd won 6 and draw 6. And like, but you're on 2 points a game. Obviously, that wouldn't have been enough last season as well. But, it's unbelievable achievement what they've done. Look, they played Carlisle as a gift for them, wasn't it, realistically? And maybe some things are ready to happen. Should we come to the League One table then for the final time this season?
Crazy.
It's gone quick. It's gone quick and it hasn't gone quick. So the League One table then, 46 matches. Carlisle United, bottom of League One, ended up on 30 points. Port Vale finished just above that, losing 4 of the last 5. Fleetwood Town's, eventful, season comes to a somewhat decent end. 3 wins in the last 4. Cheltenham just couldn't get the job done. And then Burton, Shrewsbury and Cambridge just survived. And then there was a gap in terms of quality, wasn't it? In terms of Reading, Charlton, Bristol Rovers, Northampton, Exeter, Wigan, were never, and even Wycombe to an extent, we never really spoke about the playoffs, did we, Wardy, to be fair? Leyton Orient had a glimmer. Where do you see those 4 potentially finishing next season in League 2 if you had to have a gander?
Carlisle will have investment. So financially, I think they're fine. I think they're going to stay with Simpson, which is interesting. I don't think, let's be honest, it's a pretty terrible season. To only win 7 games out of 46 and lose 30 isn't good at all, is it? But they're going to have investment. I did say when they got the investment in January, this could go one of 2 ways. They climb out of this mess by basically buying these players, or it just takes time to gel and they still get relegated. And I think it's the second there, isn't it? They brought in some good talent. They brought in some good players. But the bottom line is it's not like Football Manager. And even in Football Manager, how realistic that game's getting now. You can't bring in, I don't know how many players it was, 10 players plus in one small window in the middle of a season and expect them to sort of start turning around and bringing incredible results in that are going to save you. I think the investment next season is going to be important for Carlisle, and they're going to have a full pre-season with these new players. So we'll wait and see with them. I expect them to be probably up there. Port Vale, difficult to tell. I think Darren Moore, somebody who you trust in League 2, don't you? You trust Darren Moore. He's somebody that's managed much higher than League 2. So maybe pedigree and gravitas might be important, but I still do think that he hasn't. Tactically, I'm always still very, very aware that Darren Moore isn't one of my favourites. What is a Darren Moore team? I'm not quite sure. I think if you told Sheffield Wednesday fans what a Darren Moore team was there, they'd probably say, well, maybe towards the Paul Warne level, experience, pretty direct. I'm still not 100% sure. And I think Port Vale, look, he's not got his players there. He joined after the window. I think he needs to be quite brutal in the window in that summer before sort of approaching that League 2 season. But I have to wait and see. Depends what sort of money they're going to be given. I imagine Port Vale, not a bad budget. And if you can appoint Darren Moore, if you're going to sign a 5-year contract, if you're Darren Moore at Port Vale, looking quite likely to be a League 2 club next season, I don't think you're going to be working on on pennies. I think you're going to have a little bit to play with. As for Fleetwood, we've spoken to you a lot with T-Lop, and you've been very, very concerned about the fact that this isn't going to be a case of we'll go back down and come straight back up with ease. It's going to take a lot of work off the field. There needs to be more stability. I think when the owner situation is can it be sorted? I mean, to a certain extent, I think it needs to be. That needs to be improved. There needs to be some stability. And this season, off the field, there's been none. So that's a big issue. They've got to get things right. They're not going to have a lot of money to play with because you said quite publicly that that if the finances weren't there across the season at one point, there was a high chance Fleetwood could have been in a lot of trouble. So let's see with Fleetwood. And then finally, obviously Cheltenham as well. I think it comes down to does Darryl Clark stay? If Darryl Clark stays, I think they're going to be in great shape. Can they keep hold of some of the talent? Southwood leaving seems like a big blow.
Massive loss.
Circum you've got as well, who's very, very experienced. I don't
Pet.
see him moving away. Pet as well, Matt Taylor. I don't see him leaving because of their age. I think it's tough for Cheltenham, but if they keep Darryl Clark and you sort of trust his recruits, because I think since January they clearly went and bought in players that knew him and knew his style. If you could do that again in the summer, I think you trust them to be up there. But I actually think this might be controversial. I think Carlisle are probably in the best shape purely because of the money that they've got, which, sounds a little bit crazy because they finished 24th and there was a big gap between 24th and 23rd. But you sort of look at how that football club looks. I think bottom place Carlisle look in the best shape.
Yeah, I think League Two will be thinking, let's be honest about it, the league is massively weakened and there's potential for some clubs that have struggled to get out, like we have lost Wrexham, Mansfield and Stockport, potentially even a Crewe, a Doncaster, Milton Keynes or a Crawley who are in the playoffs as well. Shrewsbury, Cambridge, average. Reading, unbelievable season. Charlton, abject. 20 draws, you can literally, have a look at that all day long. Bristol Rovers, a poor end. As soon as they got to 50 points, the heads went. That's something that needs to change. Northampton, great season. Exeter, phenomenal second half of the season. Wigan, Leyton, Orient, Wycombe, phenomenal season. Stevenage kind of tailed off. Blackpool missed out on the playoffs. Lincoln, obviously, great season. Where do you see it then, Wardy? If you had to put you on the spot, quick fire, who wins the playoffs? Where you at?
Bolton win the playoffs, I think.
Against?
Either us or Peterborough.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
I think Bolton win it. I think it's not lottery. It's not lottery. I think there's more to it than that. I think it's important that it's a different breed. It's a different breed. It's not a league format. It's not the same. Games aren't the same. They're tight, they're nervy, they're edgy. And other than the Sheffield Wednesday and Peterborough game last season, I've found playoff games often very, very turgid. Especially, I think semi-final and finals as well. They seem to be pretty poor. Because players don't want to make a mistake. Do I back Oxford United? I'll back them. I'll back Oxford United, but I will say that we are going to have to play very, very well. And Peterborough will be the favourites. And they will be very, very aware that this Oxford United team beat them 5-0 a couple of weeks ago. And that will not play in Oxford's favour, I don't think, because they're going to be very switched on. They've played an Oxford team now. They've beaten them. Well, we've been beaten by them 3-0. We've beat them 5-0. So look, they've been high scoring games and one team's been battered in each one of them, which is going to make the playoff semi-final very, very interesting. I'll back Oxford. Do I think Oxford are going to win? If I was a betting man, I think I'd play it safe and probably put the money on Posh. However, and also I think the reason why, and I'll justify it, I think because Posh were there last season and they will be very, very aware of last season and they don't want to be embarrassed again because they were embarrassed last season, and they're going to be a team that again, it's a young group, but a lot of them were there during the playoff season. Of course, same manager, Darren Ferguson, as well. So they're going to be switched on to that. But Oxford, realistically, we're going into a playoff campaign with a bit of momentum. And that's going to be really, really important. Unlike, let's say, Barnsley, we're also in a routine as well, which I think is important. We're in a bit of a winning routine, whereas you look at Bolton and Peterborough, they've sort of been there for a while, especially Peterborough. They weren't, I don't think the top two the last couple of weeks has been a realistic target for them. So they've sort of just been plodding along. All of my faith is obviously towards Oxford United. I really, really hope we do it. But yeah, it's going to take some performance over two legs to beat Posh.
It is. And, Peterborough, I think we've been to Wembley twice and have had both dressing rooms as well. So obviously the one that they had in last time wasn't the one they had the previous time they went, and they've won in both. and they've won at Wembley this season as well, and they've won in big moments. That will help them. And I think this game against you boys is going to be one in midfield. I think you're looking at two great midfields. Theirs has got probably a bit more option. Yours is a bit more gun-ho. They've got a bit of everything. Yours is kind of a bit more like, yours is a bit like, yours I probably would say like a dairy milk. Theirs is a tub of heroes where they've got a variety. They've got a bit of dairy milk. They've got a bit of caramel. They've got a bit of a fudge in there, and obviously there's some not great ones in there as well. What's not so good in a tub of heroes? Oh, the cream eggs. The cream eggs are coming out again.
I agree. I think we are in a position where we've just. We've got to give it our best shot. But I still don't think I read it. The narrative will be this game was played 3 weeks ago and Oxford won 5-0. That's the narrative. That's what people, any preview, any chat, I can guarantee you it'll be, well, Oxford will beat us like 5-0 at the Kazan a couple of weeks ago. But it's really, really not as simple. Jesus, Daniel, you've got.
Jesus!
I think he meant to put 99p in there, but he pressed too many numbers.
What a boy.
What a boy, Daniel.
Thank you so much for the donation, mate. Much appreciated.
Yeah, that is. I need to start doing
that'll pay for the stream for the month. So massively appreciated. Many thanks.
I might just bin off my channel and start doing live streams. This is sort of where the money's at.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you do want to join as a member as well, $1.99 a month. We are doing more content like we did. The video we did yesterday was 19.5 minutes long. So, again, you're getting probably about 75, 80 minutes of extra content a month for $1.99. So, if you fancy subscribing, the link is below. You can literally tap it, a couple of buttons, and it's done. I think we've got 49 monthly rolling members. So, if you fancy joining, making that 50, that'll be appreciated as well. Go and subscribe to Audio as well. Link is down below. Go and explain what you do, mate.
I talk about football, which is, but not in football grounds. I talk about football in, like this really. Lots of different conversations. Very, very busy at the moment with things away from YouTube in terms of university coursework. So we thought back to sort of like
going, son.
It's going all right. It's going all right. We've got a big push now. Big push tonight, Monday, Tuesday before submissions on Wednesday. So after Wednesday, we've got some really cool ones. I'm sure Napper's doing this as well. One I love doing but hate doing. Reacting to my original League One predictions.
I'm filming tomorrow.
I'm filming that on probably Thursday, so I'll probably be out Friday.
I better be careful because obviously there's a lot of random stuff on my notes, but they're all like my ideas on there as well. But I went through before looking, I'm thinking there's some absolute stinkers. Looking back, right, I'll just say this now, out of 24, I got one in the right place. But I got about 6 or 7 within one spot of each other. Like Wigan didn't have to win, boys. You could have finished 13th. Didn't need to finish 12th. But no, yeah. I know how it means, mate. I've just submitted my my dissertation.
I know Wednesday it's all done though. That's the good thing. I've got Wednesday it's all going to be done. So yeah, mate. Really, really appreciate coming on the show today. Really enjoyed it, and we'll I'm sure have a chat about a certain playoff game in a couple of. Well, it's less than a week away. I'm absolutely paying my pants.
Absolutely, and so much content coming, guys. So we released a Fleetwood video, and that yesterday I did a long video. You could choose to watch what you want. That was just an extra video, really. And I talked about the 10 years in League One, and there's a good 15-minute segment at the end of why we got relegated. And for the first time, I've been brutally honest and been able to talk now. I've not been able to talk all season until it was over, really. Shackles were off a little bit. We obviously did a vlog yesterday, which is out, and we've got the reaction to the League One table predictions. We've got a video with Tom out on Portsmouth promotion. So if you're a Portsmouth fan, you might enjoy that. That's another 40-minute video that needs to get edited and rendered for the end of the week. We've got the reaction to the table predictions, as I said. We've also got the playoffs video as well. But if you're a Peterborough fan, and you know a Peterborough fan, I'm looking for a Peterborough fan for a playoff final. Looking for an Oxford fan, Wally. Do you know one that I could get on to bring on?
I'll drop you a few names, mate.
You'll drop me a few names. Absolutely as well. And we obviously we did have Jake listed, but obviously thanks for that, Jake. You've ruined my plans. And obviously we've got Bolton fans sorted, so we'll have a video with all them. Got a great Barnsley fan as well. And we've got playoff watch-alongs as well. So this isn't the last of the live streams. We should be back next week, all being well, for the playoff watch-alongs as well. Any final questions, get them in as well. Are you nervous yet, or is it not sunk in yet, or is it kind of, you think maybe a couple more days?
I think come Thursday, I'm going to be really, really nervous about it. But I still can't quite believe we're there. So I'm sort of just enjoying the ride. It's not like we've got to go up. I'd love to go up, and we're going to try our absolute bloody hardest to go up. And if we do, incredible. But, best season of my life. But if we don't go up, of course we have to, we have to make sure that we're in the right place ahead of next season, regardless of the division we're in. So, yeah, I think as a football fan, I'll move away from my manager answer. As a football fan, yeah, I'm absolutely nervous, and I'm really hoping we do it, but it's going to be tough.
There is a League One tier list coming very soon. There's 2 on away days and on ranking everyone's season, and we've also got League One awards as well, and we've got the Teal-Up awards coming up as well. I can't wait for me food that we're going to get. Do you know how we did in the standings, Wardy, or do you not? Have you forgot about that?
Well, there's money involved and everything, and also as well, Jake. There's a public message to Jake. He's
not put a comment, but he's watching. He's watching to see what I've said about him, to see if I've flagged him.
If you are watching, Jake, I won't ask for the 50 quid this weekend, but that 50 quid is, he does owe me £50 because the deal was there. The deal was there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm normally me and him have a bet. I had to wear a disgusting Lincoln shirt last year, and it was disgusting because he'd worn it previously. Anyway, when Friday night comes, I'm breaking it again. Absolutely, they are both evening kickoffs, aren't they? I think.
We're
a big thank you.
Saturday.
Yeah. To the members of joining the Judge and Paul as well, and a big thank you to Chris, who gifted 5 memberships, Paul, who gifted a membership, Hendo, Ashley and Daniel for the donations. It's massively appreciated. Wardy, any final comments, mate?
I'm really hungry and I can't wait for my dinner, but I can't believe it's over. I can't believe the season's over. That's my final word on it. It's gone so quick.
I'm ready for a bit of a break. Obviously, for us, obviously, even if Oxford, our season isn't over, is it? Because doing this in the previous years, I've learned that my season's not over till probably about the 25th of May. Obviously, you got the League One and now League Two playoff final. Hello, boys, you all right? And then, so then I think a few weeks off. I think we'll be just what the doctor ordered. I won't be. Instead of like sun lounging in a sunny sport round, Spain, I think I'll be lying on my settee doing absolutely nothing. Thanks for joining me, Wardy. Massively appreciated as ever, mate.
No worries, mate.
Subscribe to his channel. Link will be down below. Massive over and out from me. And until next time, I'll see you later. We'll be back here Tuesday reacting to table predictions. If you've not already, please subscribe as well. 870 away from 15,000 subscribers. And in the words of Wardy, we couldn't, could we? Good night.
Could we?